the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Strong job of replenishing that defensive line, and speaking to what you talked about, where it's like Gardner rotates, they're just deep, so they can lose guys, and it's okay. You can lose Tyler Barron. You have three other guys, and Tyree Weathersby hopefully steps right in, and he makes that leap. Tyree West, all the talent in the world, like they'll be fine. But I wonder, when I'm looking at the names and guys who they need to really land, I think it's an interesting board this year, more than any other board to this point in the Hyper era. Do you feel the same, that when I'm looking at these names and who they're trying to finish and close with, I'm like, I think they're okay. Like, they can get Sanders or they can get Onus, the corner out of South Carolina, but like, I kind of like where they're at with a lot of these. Like, they're done with tight end. I don't know. Like, I just look at this roster and who's going to be around next year. I don't know. Do you feel as much pressure that a lot of Volquest fans feel about closing out strong here? Because I think they're pretty solid. If they get their fair share, they'll be okay.
Yeah, I think the portal changes it too.
Hmm.
I think, because you can go in the portal and get somebody if you missed, so what you're doing and what you're seeing in recruiting now is you're seeing a little bit of boom or bust, right? I mean, like, there's not a great fallback plan at tackle. Like, you got David Sanders, right? You got Josh Petty. Okay, I mean, and then they need inside guys as much as they need outside guys, but or even more. But I think because of the portal, you're not. Maybe your boards don't have to be as deep and as big as we talked about, as we through the years it's been, because I'd say you need 3 receivers, but you only get 2 that you really like. Or say you need 3 or 4 receivers, and you only get 3 that you really like.
That might be what happens this year.
Right. So do you take a risk on a 4th guy, or you just say, yeah, I'll go to the portal? I'll go to the portal and get a 4th if I need a 4th receiver. I'll get a guy with multiple years of eligibility left out of the portal and go there. So
or
I think
pay a lot to keep a guy, right? Or just be like, hey, we kind of like we didn't go in. You're actually going to have a spot here next year. Like, you don't need to.
So I think the portal. The portal creates a little bit of a different vibe with some recruiting stuff, but this is a critical month because there's so much happens this month with the official visits and guys making decisions. It's like you're looking at the defensive line, like Charles House. I mean, that's a big visit that's coming up later this month because lots of people are coming after Charles House now, and Tennessee was out in front of that one early, and it didn't get locked down, which is not a surprise because he wanted to see some places. Now you're trying to weather the storm of his first couple of visits and then get him to campus and see if you can regain all that momentum heading into his announcement that's coming up. So, it's just for recruiting fans that the cycle is just very different because guys are making super early decisions, and it all happens in the month of June now.
Yeah.
There's just not a whole lot going on in the fall, and you don't see a ton of decommits. And I think part of the reason, we talked about this on the mailbag, part of the reason you don't see decommits as much is guys are free to roam whenever they want to.
Yeah.
You can be a midterm, you can be a midterm enrollee, go through spring practice and not like it, and you can leave.
Mm-hmm.
Having never played a down. Now, I don't like that rule. I think if you're wanting to fix some of the transfer issues and make roster management a little easier for coaches and a little more realistic for coaches, I think we got to look at a situation where you can transfer as many times as you want, but wherever you transfer to or wherever you're transferring from, you will have had to spend one football season in that program. You got to spend one football season in the program. You can transfer in January, you can transfer in May, but whenever you transfer, you're not transferring again to the following January because you've got to spend one football season at the place you transferred to, as opposed to transferring in December, going through spring ball, and then transferring again in May. That's my opinion. I'm in the minority, obviously, on this, I'm sure, but I think that would make it easier for coaches, that you're not sitting there looking at like, all right, we've invested in this guy in spring practice, but he felt like he was running too much with the second team, so he's going to leave after we got him in January.
Isn't that interesting too, though? Like, Kamal Hadden's probably our best spring story in the Hyper era, right? Like the best spring transfer, I guess, at this point, would you say?
Yeah, what's fascinating with Kamal Hadden was, I think, going into
nicely done, nephew.
practice,
the Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.